Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. And you may notice I've changed it yet again. I've decided to go with a little sprite thing going on. Decided to have my character presence be an actual presence. And you know, I can't take credit for the drawings. They are not mine. They are my girlfriend's, who drew them for me. And I asked her if I can use them. She said yes, so here we are. I have sprites for this. Multiple. Yeah, I bet you'll see a bunch of them throughout the video. It's mostly going to be this base one. Just normal talking, you and me, one-on-one. It'll change depending on what we're talking about, what needs to happen, what's going to happen, what I'm reading, it'll change. But we'll see. It looks real nice. I'm very proud of these drawings, but I did not come here to gloat or whatever. Not gloat. Gloat is not the word. I did not come here to revel in the change yet again because I cannot stick to a single idea to save my goddamn life. You know the drill. SCP. We're talking about an SCP, as usual. And today we're talking about SCP-098, or the surgeon crabs, which look like this. Terrifying. I do not like them. They're like spiders, but worse. Object class is safe, meaning it's relatively I'm not going to say harmless. It's easy to contain or mostly understood. I have not done one. I'm reverting back to my older version of how I did this, where I would read the article and talk about it as I go, because you'll be able to distinguish the difference based on the sprites and based on the fact that I'm going to have the text up right here, a little example, to show what I'm reading, and if there's no text, that means it's just me talking about it, me providing conversation. So reverting back to my old way, so expect many interruptions throughout it. If you want to read this SCP, go to the SCP Wiki, and then go to SCP-098. Without further ado, let us get started. Special Containment Procedures. Members of SCP-098 are to be kept in a 10-meter by 20-meter room with a small pool of water and a sandy substrate. Rocks and driftwood are to be left in a random arrangement for SCP-098 to nest in. How much is 10 meters in terms of feet? Because I'm an American. So it's around 33 by 65. 33 by 66. We'll go like that. So 33 by 66 room. Foot. It's not that big of a room. Then again, they are crabs. So, yeah. Water, sand, rocks, driftwood, random arrangement so they can nest. Pretty normal. It seems like they get to live in luxury in an enclosed environment. Anyways, the enclosure is to be cleaned on a weekly basis. During this time, all members of SCP-098 are to be accounted for first, to prevent injury or death to personnel or SCP-098. Any members of SCP-098 that appear ill or injured are to be removed and examined. Okay. It needs to be cleaned. That makes sense. They are living creatures. But they need to be all accounted for. How many of them are there? If they all need to be accounted for, how many are there? And even moreover, prevent injury or death to personnel. Or death. to personnel or one of the instances of SCP-098. Who has died to this? What? This. You have to prevent death. That's great. Moving on to the description. SCP-098 is a species of previously unknown crustaceans. They resemble crabs, but rather than chile, I don't think I'm saying that right. The front limbs terminate in knife-like structures that incorporate silica to form an extremely sharp edge. Specimens reach larger size than normal for land-dwelling arthropods at 40 centimeters tall and as large as 60 centimeters across. Big crabs. Big crabs. I did not say some of those words right. I apologize. English is my first language, therefore it is not correct most of the time. The front limbs are basically knives. That is the most terrifying image. I'm imagining a wrong thing. I'm imagining a crab with knives for front limbs. It's not. They're knife-like appendages, so they look normal, but they cut like knives, and that is freaky. Big crabs with knives. It's great. Such a good image. Imagine walking along the beach and you just see a crab with knife limbs. You know? How many people have died to these crabs? How many crabs are there? You need to tell me how many there are. Because if not, I'm going to be paranoid whenever walking along a beach. Heaven forbid I go in the water. Oh, God. Feel a nice cut along the leg, and then, you know, whatever happens, happens. I just gave you nightmares. Specimens of SCP-098 prefer an environment with ready concealment in shallow pools of water. They are able to breathe both water and air, splitting their time between the two environments. They are also capable of vocalization, using a larynx-like structure attached to the primitive lung. They can talk? Maybe not talk, but they can vocalize. To make matters worse, I just want to paint this image of this crab to you. I know you saw the image. I'll flash it again right here as I'm saying this. It is a crab with knife-like appendages at its front that is capable of vocalization. That is terrifying. Absolutely horrifying. I don't like the fact it's attached to the lungs. It can breathe both water and air. It splits time between environments. So it seems like they have like a routine, like a schedule that they follow. Maybe not a schedule, but like a primitive routine that they're used to as a species, which is interesting. Studying creatures like that is always very interesting, seeing what they can do. But these are very scary crabs that do God knows what. SCP-098 demonstrates pack hunting behavior when attacking prey. When specimens detect a prey animal, they will attempt to surround it. They will mimic the sounds made by the creature, apparently to confuse it or to draw it into position. When ready, one specimen will approach the prey animal. When its attention is fixated on the first specimen, others will move behind the prey and attempt to cut the tendons of the legs or other limbs. They will continue to mimic the sounds of the prey animal makes to disorientate it. After making a cut, a specimen of SCP-098 will spit a viscous mucus over the wound. This substance hardens rapidly, preventing blood loss or infection. This continues until the prey animal is completely immobilized. Oh my god, they hunt like a pack. That would imply that there's a lot of them. What's the biggest prey animal they can take down? They seem pretty smart. They mimic the sounds of the prey animal. That is the worst thing I've ever heard. Imagine it going after, like, a cat. It just starts meowing at you. At the cat. I don't like that. That's... You know what? That's kind of not okay. Kinda. That's very not okay. But they hunt like a pack. The viscous mucus over the wound, it hardens rapidly, prevents blood loss and infection, and it continues until they're completely immobilized. Not dead, immobilized. Interesting. It begs the question, like, as I said before, what is the biggest thing they can take down? Is it a human? Well, clearly, if they have to prevent personnel deaths. You know what? Realizing this, I'm gonna move on. At this point, specimens will begin to feed on the prey animal by cutting off small pieces of flesh. This begins with soft, readily accessible tissues, such as those of the face and extremities, before moving to other parts of the body. Specimens of SCP-098 will only feed so long as the prey animal is capable of respiration. Feeding can last several hours or several days, depending on the size of the prey animal and the number of specimens present. That's barbaric. Even for crabs, that's barbaric. So they feed. I mean, that's what an animal does. It hunts to feed. It needs to eat. That's what it's doing. It's trying to survive. That's not the part I'm faulting here. What I'm faulting is it carves it up, which is horrible for any prey. But they can only feast on the prey so long as it's breathing. If it stops breathing, do they just move on? I wonder, like, do they have, like, the mucus all over the person? It starts with the face and extremities, which is the most absolutely terrifying image. You know what? This is actually going to make me uncomfortable. Just imagining these crabs taking down a person, I don't like it. It's barbaric to think about. But then again, they're just animals. It's not like they're doing this with malicious intent to end the human race. They're just trying to live. Anyways. Specimens of SCP-098 show some ability to communicate, alerting each other to the presence of threats or potential food over short distances. It was initially thought that SCP-098 might display human-level intelligence, but are now believed to merely parrot human speech. So they're basically parrots. Not actually, but like the intelligence of a parrot. It talks like one. It mimics, which is, if I hear a crab speak to me, I'm just running away. But they communicate with each other, which is weird. I mean, like, other animals do that. Birds chirp to communicate with each other. Lions roar. Cats meow. Dogs bark. Humans talk to each other. It's not like actually off. It's not that weird thinking about how they can communicate. Most animals do. Most living things do. That's honestly one of the more normal bits, which is kind of surprising. SCP-098 normally poses little threat to adult humans, preferring smaller prey such as dogs, cats, and small pigs. However, they have attacked the larger prey when a sufficient number of specimens were present, or else other food was unavailable. SCP-098 was discovered in redacted Brazil after a rash of child disappearances. Okay. Yeah, there it is. So we just learned what the biggest thing they can take down is. A human child. They prefer smaller prey, which makes sense. Depending on the number, it makes sense. But dogs, cats, and small pigs. Larger prey. How many specimens are there? Are you going to tell me, or are you just going to keep it vague? I'm going to guess there's more than 100. Do I like the fact that I'm guessing that? Not at all. But I'm guessing it. Because who knows? Who knows? Lord knows I don't know. There's an addendum here. Addendum 098-1. So I'm just going to read through this. SCP-098 is more intelligent than previously thought. They adapt quickly to changes in their environment and have shown an ability to remember patterns such as feeding and cleaning times, and habitual movement of personnel entering their enclosure. Cleaning personnel must ensure that they regularly vary their routes through the enclosure to prevent incidents. Dr. Mann has taught several of them simple tricks, as they seem to understand the meaning of several commands. Testing will continue. And that is the article. So they are smarter than parrots. They're able to recognize patterns, remember patterns. If a cleaning crew goes in, is it weekly? Yeah, a weekly basis. So every week you're sending a team in there to clean. Because it's a bunch of wild animals. Lord knows how many there are. You're going to need a lot of people to clean. They have to vary their routes. Because otherwise the crabs will ready an ambush for food. I just think, like, I don't know. It's kind of concerning. Kind of. What am I saying kind of for? It's extremely concerning. The fact that it doesn't say how many there are. Because depending on that information, it will lead me to a different outcome. If there are around 100, like, not a lot. For a species, not a lot at all. I would say just keep them enclosed and be sure. If there are like hundreds of thousands of these crabs in this enclosure, just burn them. Knife-like appendages. Very smart, able to communicate more than a crustacean would be able to. Literally killing kids. That's not something that needs to live, depending on the amount at least. How many does it take to take down an adult human? How many does it take? Like, can they kill a bear? I doubt it, but if they could, that'd be cool. I don't know. But with that being said, I think I've said my piece for this one. Again, if you want to go to this specific SCP, go to the SCP Wiki, go to SCP-098, the Surgeon Crabs, and you'll get to this article. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like it, please consider subscribing, as it helps me a lot with motivation and overall makes me more active to do things. I understand it's been a really long time since I've uploaded, but that is because of real life circumstances that have made it difficult. However, I am back, hopefully, to do more with this, because I've had this idea for a while and it's been in the making for a long time. So, thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.